You're listening to Bush Radio. Bush Radio.
Your real talk radio.
Here we go.
State Affairs with Edmund Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
Recently, Human Rights Watch said that hundreds of children remain missing, with government officials failing to acknowledge this. The children we are talking about here are school children kidnapped from Damasak in November 2014. How did the Human Rights Watch get wind of this information?
We had been working in Maiduguri, Bornu State. At that time, this was early 2015, and we were interviewing teachers and students, generally just wanting to assess the state of the education sector vis-a-vis, the impact of the Boko Haram crisis. Knowing fully well that Boko Haram had specifically targeted schools and what they termed Western-style education for attacks. And it was while we were interviewing one of the teachers who happened to have come from Damasak. We were actually interviewing him on video camera. And at some point he stopped and said, why are you just talking about attacks on schools? Why are you not talking about the children that they took away? And, I remember saying to him, what children? And he kind of sniggered and said, you mean you didn't know that Boko Haram took away from Damasak over 300 students of my own school, the school where he was a teacher, and then he revealed to us how he was in school that morning with at least 300 students. He said normally the school has over 1,000 students. It's a primary school. Probably the biggest in the small city of Damasak. And he said, but because of the insecurity, when fewer children had been attending school, so he could assess that there were at least, there could be more, at least 300 children in the school. And for us, that was a trigger. We then went searching and realized that the day he was talking about was in March 2015, so earlier in the year before we spoke to him. But that the attack on the town itself and when the school had been taken over was in November 2014. And, we realized that at that time Nigeria was busy preparing for national elections. And then when the Chadian and Nigerian forces pushed Boko Haram out of Damasak in March 2015, Nigeria was right in the heart of the national elections. And so very little attention was paid to it, even though we did a small press release about the time when it was reported. But that was it. Everyone seemed to have forgotten about it in the euphoria of the election and thereafter. And so when he brought it to our attention, we went back to begin to talk to people from Damasak, and we realized, that the numbers were actually a lot more than the 300 in that school alone.
What's the number we are looking at here? Is it above 500?
As at March, when we spoke to the parents, they told us they had submitted a list of 501 children aged between 2 years and 7 years to the local authorities and to the police after the abductions, and that since then they have not heard anything from anyone in authority in Nigeria.
Did the Human Rights Watch in Nigeria raise the kind of alarm required to draw attention to such a heinous move by Boko Haram?
Absolutely. As soon as we got wind of the abduction itself, like I said, initially during the attack, we had released a press release, just calling on Boko Haram to stop this attack on civilians. And then when we saw and heard the testimony of that teacher, and then spoke to several, dozens of people from Damasak, were able to piece together their story. And we released a press release. We sent questions and a summary of our findings to the Nigerian authorities, to the military, to the Attorney General, that's the Federal Attorney General and Minister for Justice. We sent to the National Human Rights Commission. We sent to the Ministry of Education, asking them if they were aware of this incident and what steps had been taken. Well, as is almost normal with the Nigerian authorities, we got no response until on the 29th of March 2016, that's last year, just around the time we knew that it was a one-year anniversary. We again called attention to this abduction. I have to say this, earlier when the locals had reported the abduction, we have news reports and statements from Nigerian authorities denying that the abduction had taken place.
Now, the Human Rights Watch is saying that government should provide a regular update to relatives about efforts to locate and rescue all victims of Boko Haram abduction. Do you think this call at this time will go a long way?
It will at least provide some succor for parents and relatives of missing people, especially missing children. We have encouraged all of the victims themselves and their family members to submit, a list of the names, the particulars, the details of anyone that has been missing and what they know about the circumstances surrounding their abduction, so that we can be clear what is Boko Haram, whether they might still be alive with the group or whether they might have been killed one way or the other. And almost every group that we have spoken to in the Northeast said they have carried this out. All of the information is with the authorities. Now we continually hear from the government how Boko Haram has been degraded, how many parts of, the Northeast, especially Bornu State, where the group had seized Nigerian territory, has been liberated and hostages rescued. But large groups of people, especially with this this Damasak incident, where we have the largest documented school abduction by Boko Haram, nothing has been said to address it, to address the parents. Whether it is, any information is information for these people. They are desperate.
Do you think that the attention on the Chibok girls distracted from the story of the children of Damasak?
I would not call it a distraction. The Chibok happened before Damasak. Fortunately for the Chibok girls and the Chibok for their family members, they have an advocacy group. But I think that the greatest, thing that the advocacy group, the Bring Back Our Girls group, has done is to highlight the fact that abductions are happening. Before the Chibok abduction, government at every level, whether it's federal, state, local, in Bornu State, in Zanna State, in Yobe State, denied that abductions were happening, despite the fact that our research showed, and we spoke to families of those who had been abducted, they denied that this was happening. So with Chibok, that opportunity for denial has been taken away. Now, months after Chibok happened in April of 2014, Damasak happened in November 2014. Like I said earlier, I think the greatest distraction must have been the election. So I think that whether or not the Damasak children and the people of Damasak have an advocacy group, lobbying government, pressuring government on their behalf, we all cannot afford to keep quiet.
Bush Radio.
Bush Radio. Bush Radio.
Bush Radio.
Your real talk radio.